Welcome back. We still have Colonel Tony Nyiam here, a retired Army colonel, who's looking at the security situation. Well, you heard General Lucky Rabo talk about the fact that the war's been won, but he said we still need to win the peace. That means picking up the pieces.
I think very reassuring briefing by General Lucky Rabo. I only wish to compliment what he said by saying that we've won the unconventional aspects of the war. We have achieved to a high extent a degrading of the unconventional aspects. I think we still have the unconventional aspect of the war, still the threat is still there, in that with people will scatter to other parts of the country, and with some the forest not completely taken over, I think it's still work which our chaps, the military, have done. His command has done very well, but we should not drop our guards. We still need to do more to completely win the war. We've done very well, but we should not be over-guided, or we should not miss the point to think that we've won the war. The president, the military, has done well so far, but I still think that the unconventional aspects of the war, which in fact started the war, we have, I would say, we've achieved up to over 60% degrading, but we still have some work to do.
Malpa?
Well, as a security consultant now, I'm sure that you definitely will have your fears. You've heard the military aspect of it. I do not know if you watched yesterday the spokesperson of the Borno state government talk about what the government was going to do to ensure that, you know, people have the right kinds of teaching. Are you still, are you optimistic that work being done in that area will achieve much results?
Yes, I am. What the military has done so far, good. But it must be realized that fighting counter-insurgency is not only the military that it's not only the military's role. There is, as been said, there is an element of intelligence which the Department of State Security Services, the National Intelligence Agencies, and of course all other agencies have a role to play. We need to also rely more on plain clothes or on uniformed security agencies to complement what the military has done. What has been happening in Borno, as explained by the governor yesterday, I watched your interview, I think it's reassuring. But all I will emphasize is that we should not think that the war has been completely won. We should just keep on improving on the good efforts we have given so far.
What would you say to the people of, if you were to get a chance to address the people of Borno or even Yobe or Adamawa who were affected by this, mostly by the terrorism, what would you say to them?
No, I'm not in a position to say much to them because I don't have any executive powers. All I can say is that we must continue to help and give support to what the military has been doing. Like the general has said, the people of the Northeast need to play a more active role in helping the war efforts. And of course, people in other parts of the country too, because some of the people who have escaped from these places will end up in places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. So we must be very proactively involved in giving support to the military in the war efforts. And we must also, the military should be helped in all respects. So I would say that all we need is to give more support to the military to finish their job.
Okay, there are those who have run away, the terrorists, the fleeing terrorists.
Yes.
As you said, they'll be going to defend towns like Lagos, Port Harcourt and all. For instance, a couple of days ago, someone was arrested for allegedly trying to blow up the third mainland bridge. You've heard of the other man that was arrested also in Lagos, Boko Haram leader. What should the state governors, I mean, I was going to ask you about the citizenry, but let's begin from the authorities before we come down to the citizenry. What should we be doing now?
I think, take for example Lagos State. Lagos State, for example, has a very good rapid response force and contingency plans, which has been working for years, since the days of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and Major Panox, who was the special advisor to the governor. Lagos State has a very good scheme. All I think Lagos State needs to do is to beef up its preventive aspects of the scheme. The Lagos State Government Trust Fund should also fund outsourcing organizations that can deal with things like informers, so that we have more informers in our communities. I have always thought that in every ward in Lagos State, there should be 2 or 3 informers who are locals, who live amongst the people, who should be used, paid for. You know this song in Yoruba that money is what is responsible for do something. Oh, laughing she do something. We need to use money to incentivize informers to report back and to give information. Even informers amongst the so-called militants, like the Amos Abiodun, who was planning against the bridges. But on top of that, I think between Lagos, Ogun State, and Ondo, and the challenge we have stemming always from Ikorodu, I would have thought that there's a need for a command to be stationed that until we uproot that challenge. That challenge has been there, but up till now, we need to deal with it and uproot it before it becomes bigger. In other words, before we have other copycats. What is the challenge? The challenge is that the waterways from Okitipupa down to Lagos, it's very vulnerable. The boats, people use speedboats to come and attack. I would have thought that there should be better marine police in all from Okitipupa down to Lagos. And then, like I said, there's a need for a dedicated joint force theater command to deal with this threat to the economic activity of Ogun State and Lagos State, which are very key to the economy. And this is very, very urgent. On the long-term plan, the argument for giving Lagos State special status becomes very, very necessary. Lagos State, for example, is undermanned. It needs at least 3 police commands. It's amazing how Lagos State, with about 20 million population, has 1 police command, equivalent to what you have in a state that has about 4 million people. So I would have thought that we need 2 more additional commands in Lagos. One for the existing one serving Ikeja and the areas down to Ogun State. We need one as an island police command to respond to Ikoyi, VI, Lekki, and the Lagos Islands. And then we also need a 3rd one for Lagos mainland, that is Yaba, Ebudemeta, and Festac down to Ajegunle. The police we have in Lagos is not enough. I would also suggest that Lagos State may send a team to Cameroon and to study what BI is done to keep in check in place. The simple thing BI is done, as examples are, is that in every high-density streets in any city in Cameroon, in every street, there are 1 or 2 policemen who live in the streets and who carry out the beat and live there and ensure that both uniformed and plain clothes. So we need much more on that. I think what Lagos State has been doing so far so good, but they need to do more, and more so now. And the infrastructures, that is the bridges, the power stations, the tank farms, and of course the crowds that we'll be having in a few days, are areas that we need to beef up security around. And I think this is also the time to interact with the locals. For example, the local OPCs. We need to use them much more than we are using.
I know that from around that 2010, there was that cry around the country where everybody be vigilant, see something, say something.
Sure.
I mean, the Minister of Information was saying that yesterday, say something and all of that. So everybody needs to put their hands on deck. Are we back to that position now, especially where everybody has to be more alert?
Indeed, especially with these chaps, with the army having succeeded in taking over most of Sambisa forest. These people will run away to places like Lagos and all that. So we all need to be much more involved in helping the government.
The security infrastructure. Okay, Mark.